diamonds, get your glasses when the lights come on. Hey, I need you to focus. I don't want you to miss nothing. What up, fam? It is MC Burnham, finally back with another episode of my independent journey. I think in the last video, we touched on the pros and cons of owning your own studio equipment. There are a lot of those. If you want to know what they are, go ahead and go back to that last video. You feel me? But yeah, so just to recap, there are some pros and cons to owning your own equipment. And the biggest pro is that you can go in the studio whenever you want. You can do whatever you want. You can spend as much time as you want on things. You don't have to worry about time constraints when you own your own equipment. Now, that being said, do you go in there and just be silly? Sometimes, but not all the time. You want to go in there pretty rehearsed, pretty clean. You don't want to go and be silly all the time, unless you're doing it for different functions. But making a song is already an hours long process anyway, because there's multiple takes that you gotta do and multiple things that go into making a song. So it's really hard work. It's really daunting. It's really exhausting, especially if you're giving your all every single take and then you mess up on one word or whatever. That takes time, energy, and you don't want to be getting all silly when you do that. Now, for this video, we're going to talk about the recording process itself. So, I touched on having a pedal in your booth or wherever you're recording at. If you record outside of a booth and you're just in the room with your controls, that's different. I've seen a lot of people have setups on a desk and they just have a boom mic, like literally, tightened to their desk, and they just record sitting down just like this. A lot of people stand up, they put it in a corner. How I started out in my living room when I lived in my apartment. I just set it up in a corner. I would take it down whenever I was done recording. Just had a laptop, right beside me. I could hit the buttons. Microphone was right in front of my face with all the, all the accessories and stuff. But it was just in a no acoustic foam or nothing. It was just in a corner. I just had a mic shield behind it. But now I have a bedroom that I use as my office. I'm sorry, I keep looking over there because I'm at work and I'm making sure no customers come in. But so it's a little awkward, but bear with me. But like I said, now I have a third bedroom that I use in my house as an office. And I made the closet into a booth. I put all the foam in there, put lights and stuff in the studio. It's a real creative space now. But I stand up in a booth and record, and so I either have to walk out of the booth and touch the controls, or in recent days I have started using a pedal. So you can get a USB pedal from Amazon, wherever, and you can program it to a key on your keyboard, whatever that function is in your recording software to record. You program it to whatever function you want it to be. If you want it to be a record button, now you can only program it to one function. Can't program it to multiple. You'll have to get multiple pedals for that. And they do sell them in like sets of 3. They're all attached, so each pedal can be assigned something different. But I just have the one as of right now, which is programmed to my record button, the R button. To stop it, I just have to walk out of the booth and hit the space bar, which, I'm going to be, if I mess up or if I'm done recording, I'm going to stop it and go and do all my trims and stuff like that anyway. But, yeah, I use a pedal for when I record because I'm by myself, and not saying that nobody wants to come and do it with me. It's just that I don't have anybody there with me. Aside from all that, I get in there when I record. My recording process is not simple, but it's not very hard either. It's probably a little outdated than what most people are doing now, but I get a pretty good sound out of it. So that's just how I do things. So the way I record, I stack vocals, and a lot of people are probably going to hear that and roll their eyes and be like, stacking vocals, like, bro, that's like so early 2000s, and you're right. Sorry, and you're right. It is. So to that I say, whatever. I don't care. I get a good sound out of it, like I said. So um, by stacking vocals, I mean I have, let's see, one, two, three, four, sometimes four or five sets of vocal tracks that I do. So I label them as verse, personality track, or PT for short, stab one, stab two, and then an ad lib track for that verse section. The verse track obviously is just the bass vocal. It's the, how can I say it? The least amount of energy that I give as possible. That's my clearest vocal out of the stack. So I can have my words as I go through the stack, my words are reinforced on the back end. So they come out clear. Even if in a second, even if in a second or third track I mess up a word or it's not as clear as I can get it, it'll still be clear later on in the final mixing and mastering of it. So my verse track is just the bass vocal. Very clear, no energy. I try not to give it too much energy, but sometimes I do. But very clear, very basic. Get it? Basic. Oh god, that's so bad. Very basic vocal. No, nothing more, nothing less. Personality track, or PT as I like to call it, is going to be that vocal track with the juice on it. That's where I come in with the sauce. That's when everything starts getting a little bit more energetic and a little bit more animated. And I just have fun with that one. Most likely, when I get to that one, I got everything super rehearsed by then, and I'm just going in. Like, I'm going in on this track right here. But that's the personality track. Personality track it's self-explanatory. You know, you give it whatever kind of personality you want, the juice, the sauce, whatever you call it, that's what you give it. Then the next two tracks are pretty much the same as each other, just offset. So I have two sets of stab vocal tracks, which a stab is just me reinforcing a specific line. Now I won't always do two sets of those. Sometimes I'll just do one, depending on if it needs a second one or not. More than likely, if I'm doing two, it's for a good reason, not because I just want to do it, but I'd give it two because there's a lot of offsetting lines that could use reinforcement for both. So stab so for example, stab one, I might say I might say a line, and then I'll the second line will just go off. And then in stab two, I'll hit every second line. So stab one is every first line, stab two is every second line. Sometimes it doesn't follow that formula. Sometimes it gets a little bit mixed in between. I'll have to swap, either I'll start every first line and then somewhere in between I'll go to every second line and finish it that way, and vice versa for the stab two. Just however it goes. And then my fourth or fifth, depending on the stabs, fourth or fifth track of vocals is the ad lib for just that verse. The entire track gets its own ad lib track later on. And of course, you do the hook vocals and all that stuff. I don't really, but I'm giving you the verses, how I do my verses. So each verse gets its own ad lib track. So in total, I do about 8 to 10 sets of vocal tracks. Two verses. Each verse has 4 or 5, so 8 to 10, and I get a pretty good sound. I do a lot of it is not needed. I just do it because it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. If I don't have it and I need it, that will cause me to go back and re-record the entire song. Not necessarily the entire song, but it's going to end up being the entire song because I'm a perfectionist, and if I change something to a different attitude or level or whatever, I'm going to want everything else to match it. So, yeah, I'm going to have to re-record the whole song. So I give a lot to use a little, if that makes sense. Um, and like I said, everything is as clear as possible. Not always as rehearsed as it can be, but sometimes that's okay. I mean, sometimes you need the raw experience or the raw energy that you bring to an unrehearsed recording session, and that's fine. You don't have to. I own it, so I don't have to be rehearsed if I don't want to. I like to because it keeps it, you know, in line. It doesn't get me off track. Um, and then I'll just be like, yeah, okay, that sounds good. Go on to the next. But sometimes it's good to be raw and, have that little figure out stuff in the moment type of session. But you always want to be clear. You don't ever want to be muffled. You don't want to be mumbling. You don't want to be like, damn, I don't know what I just said right there. Because if you don't understand it and you're the artist that is recording it, your listeners won't understand it. The people that are streaming your music are not going to understand it for sure. Think about when Young Thug did Lifestyle. Nobody knew what the hell he was saying. And if you don't know what that song is, go look up Rich Homie Quan featuring Young Thug. The song is called Lifestyle. No, people that know what the song's about, they know what I'm talking about when I say nobody knew what Young Thug was saying until you looked up the lyrics. So you want to be as clear as you can in your recording, because if you are not, nobody's going to know what you're saying. You're going to be another Young Thug. Now that song was a hit now. Don't get it twisted. That song was a hit. It was the summer anthem. Everybody was bumping it. Me and my brother was bumping it coming from school, going to school. It didn't matter. Basketball practice, baseball practice, football practice, it did not matter, dog. Like it was it was a hit. But the recording could have been done a little bit better on Thug's part. So you want to be clear in your vocals. Again, you don't always want to be rehearsed. You just want to have fun. Music should be fun. And I'll touch on the mentality of it all in probably the next video, kind of giving like a how it started versus how it's going type of deal, because I've added a new element to my artistry. But yeah, you always want to have fun when you record, because music shouldn't be looked at as a chore. It should not be a job, but it is a job. You know what I'm saying? Like it should be a fun job. It shouldn't be a job. They say when you do something that you like, you never work a day in your life. That's how it should be. And I am slowly trying to maintain that and get back to that, because I kind of lost it for a little bit. But this video has gone on way too long already. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop off here, and I appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate y'all looking out for me. Again, my independent journey, my indie journey. This is just content that I want to put out. Maybe, hopefully, somebody learns something from it. Somebody is watching it and taking notes, maybe, or they just want to know about me and being an independent artist and what I got to say. But yep, I will catch y'all in the next one. I appreciate y'all. Keep pushing, keep believing and trusting the process. Y'all gonna get there. All right, we're gonna make it there together. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.